During my 8 years as the chief official White House photographer for the Obama administration, I documented all the important moments of his presidency.
This documentary details your experiences working for both the Reagan administration and the Obama administration. Why do you think working for two different administrations gives you such a unique perspective on the office of the president?
I think I worked for the most iconic Republican and arguably the most iconic Democrat president of my generation. And I think that it demonstrates that the way I'm speaking out about what's happening today is not a partisan thing. It's about the office of the presidency and the respect and dignity that the person who holds that office should have. And I think having been inside both a Republican and a Democrat administration, I think I can, come at this from a, more of a nonpartisan view. I thought, who is this man? How does he deal with crisis? Leadership, character, and empathy. Don't you wish we had that now?
Now, in the documentary, it mentions one part about how, before Obama walked into a room, you were always the person to walk in first. What did that always feel like for you?
I'd be, a minute or so or 30 seconds or so in front of the president, and especially when we were walking into the Situation Room. And, he was inevitably a few minutes late, and so people were chit-chatting, and, you could hear that as I walked in the door, and all of a sudden it would just stop because they knew that when they saw me that he was right behind me. So it got to be amusing towards the end, because people would say, "Oh, Pete's here," and then and so the conversation would just stop.
Pete Souza is getting attention online with replies to President Trump's tweets.
I had to speak out. I knew how the job should be done.
Is there a photo that has been taken or a photo that needs to be taken that would best represent Trump's presidency?
I mean, the one picture from the White House photographer that I would consider authentic and behind the scenes and storytelling is a picture that became public because Donald Trump tweeted it out because he thought it made him look good. And it was a picture of the breakup of a meeting where Nancy Pelosi was standing in the cabinet room, pointing her finger at him. And which is interesting that he thought it made him look good or Nancy look bad. And I think the vast majority of anyone that looks at that photograph says that's a badass Speaker of the House standing up to the President of the United States. The presidency is a serious job, and I was going to do everything I could to make sure people didn't forget that.
Now, given that you do know Joe Biden, if he was to win the presidency and he reached out to you and asked you to come and work for him, would you do it?
He is as compassionate and empathetic as a man that I know. But I have to say, I put so much into the 8 years of the Obama administration and essentially had no personal life. I just don't think I can put my family through that again. But I will call Joe Biden after the election, and I will urge him to allow the kind of access that I had with President Obama to whoever his White House photographer is. The job as the chief official White House photographer is to visually document the presidency for history.
What do you hope viewers take away from this documentary?
I hope they take away the power of the still image, especially as it relates to the behind the scenes moment of a presidency. But also that they look at the presidency with this thought in mind: what kind of a person do we want representing us at the highest levels of government? And just so, think about that before you mark your ballot.
If you just stacked up the images of the Obama presidency and the Trump presidency, you would see the two stories of America in the starkest possible contrast.
If there was a movie to be made about your life, what actor would you love to play you?
Well, there is a movie that's made about my life, and and I'm in it. So, I mean, George Clooney, I guess.
That's a great one. There you go.
Well, I know George a little bit, so that's the reason I chose him.